Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first module of the basketball's officials training. We will be going over some basics, some ground rules. If you have any questions throughout all of these modules, please feel free to write them down, shoot me an email, ask them to me in person, whatever it may be. But yeah, we can get into it. So first we'll be looking at the officials uniform. So we will have official stripes for you, and you will check them out with supervisors at the beginning of each shift. They need to be tucked in, and what they'll be tucked into is your pants or shorts. They need to be athletic and black. So you're not allowed to wear jeans, cargo shorts, or form-fitting pants such as yoga pants or shorts. So we'll need black athletic pants or shorts, and you'll tuck your jersey into that. And then you can wear shoes while you officiate, running shoes, basketball shoes. Either works, but something where you'll be able to tie them up so they're nice and tight, and you'll be able to move around easily. During check-in, the supervisors will help out mostly with this, but students need to have a UNCW ID to play, so they can't just bring a driver's license or something like that. They need to have their actual one card. And they will check in first outside of the MAC gym with the supervisors. And while they're checking in, while they're coming in, just keep an eye out for jewelry. We'll go over what jewelry is okay and what is not, but keep an eye out for that big, dangerous jewelry that they'll need to take off before the game. So signing participants in, you may have to help out with this. We're looking at an outdoor soccer one, but the idea is the same. So you write down the league and division, as well as some of those fields up there, date and time. You have a home team and a visiting team. You'll need to write down the number that's on their jersey, their student ID number, and you'll have them write their name and then sign in, and make sure they actually write a signature. They can't just put some scribbles. They need to put a good signature and put a legible name, print it in the first and last name part. There's spots at the bottom for score and sportsmanship. So at the end of the game, you'll need to write down the score, obviously, and then each official will need to give a sportsmanship rating for each of the teams. You'll have the home and visiting team go ahead and sign their names at the bottom, any notes or anything like that, and that'll be the check-in process for everybody. Like I mentioned, they'll need the ID, so no large jewelry. So they can't have like dangling hoop earrings or a nose ring that hoops out. As well as watches. So we don't want any watches on either. That's something that people could kind of get their finger stuck in and hurt them that way. So if they just have stud earrings or stud nose rings, that's probably okay unless it's, excessive and large. But keep an eye out for jewelry. Hopefully you have multiple sets of eyes on it, including the supervisors, so you all can be on top of it. When it comes to the ball, so we provide game balls. We have both men's and women's balls. The teams will need to agree on which ball to use. They can also use one that one of the participants brought if both teams agree to use it. If teams are struggling to figure out which ball they would like to use and they can't come to an agreement, this typically happens in co-rec. They will just default to a woman's ball, and we'll play with that. Dunking, so there's no dunking in the game before, during, or after a game. If a player dunks, it'll be a technical foul. That basket won't count, and we'll be giving free throws to the other team. So if they do it in warm-ups, we can go ahead and give that technical, and the game will start before the tip with some technical free throws. If it's deemed unsportsmanlike, so they really hang on the rim a lot or slap the backboard while they're dunking, something like that, then we can eject that player as well as 2 technicals equals an automatic ejection. So no dunking. Talk about it in your captain's meeting. The word usually was spread pretty fast, so just let people know that there's no place for that and that we will be enforcing that rule. So basketball rules, so there's 5 players on the court. Teams are allowed to begin the game with as few as 4 players. So if one of their teammates is running late, they can start the game as long as they have a minimum of 4, and they can continue the game with as few as 1. So some scenarios where a team that starts with 4 may lose some players. They could have players foul out. They could have players get injured, or just need to leave the game for other reasons. So they're allowed to have 1 and continue the game as long as they have a chance to win. If they're down by 20 points and it's 1v5. I think most of the time people will end that game anyway, but we can use our wits and let people know that the game will be over at that point. But if they are in the game or if they're winning, they can play with as few as 1 and try and wind that clock down, and that's fine. Substitution, so we don't do on-the-fly substitutions or anything like that. It will be only after whistles, and an official will need to beckon them into the game. So they'll go and they'll kneel down next to the scorer's table, and then usually the scorer's table can help you out and just yell sub, or the substitute will yell that. And then, blow your whistle, hold your hand up high, let the players come in, and then we'll play after that. After a basket is not a dead ball, so it needs to be on a whistle. We don't blow our whistles after somebody makes a basket, so players will not be allowed to substitute at that point. During multiple free throws, the substitute may enter prior to the final free throw. So if we're shooting 3, we'll substitute after 2 free throws. If we're shooting 2, it'll be after 1. If we're only shooting 1, it'll be before any free throws take place. If the substitute is for the shooter, if the shooter makes the basket, the final free throw, then we can substitute at that point. But if they miss the basket, then we're going to need to substitute them in at the next dead ball. So we play 4 9-minute, I should say 9-minute quarters, not halves. So 4 9-minute quarters with a 3-minute intermission at halftime. And it's a running clock the entire time until the final 2 minutes of the 4th quarter. And then we only stop it on whistles. So again, we do not blow a whistle on a made bucket, so the clock does not stop on a made bucket. If the team is up by 20 points or more with 2 minutes or less left in the second half, that'll be the mercy. We can go ahead and call that game at that point. So they have 3 timeouts for the entire game. They'll only be 30 seconds in length. So if they call a timeout, it'll need to be quick. You'll need to be on top of it. And the only players who are allowed to call timeouts are by somebody on the team that currently possesses the ball. During a dead ball, either team can call a timeout, or by players on the court when the team is in possession of the ball. So again, the team needs to be in possession, or it needs to be an out of bounds play or something like that where the ball is not currently in play, and then anybody can call a timeout. So overtime procedures, we only do this in the playoffs. If there is a tie at the end of game in the regular season, then that game will result in a tie. Each team will get a tie on their record. In the playoffs, we'll do a 1 3-minute period, and the clock will stop on all whistles in the last minute of the game. So even if they don't have timeouts left in regulation, or say they have 2 or 3, each team will only get 1 timeout per overtime. And the overtime is an extension of the second half. So if somebody comes into the overtime with 4 fouls, if they get 1 more, that'll be 5 and they'll be out. So their personal fouls will carry over, as well as free throws that count towards the bonus. And we'll go over that in a later training. But that is module 1. Should be a quick, easy quiz, but go ahead and take that and come back for module 2.